It's not uncommon for extreme weather conditions to occur anywhere in the world, but the reality hits different when you get to see raw footage straight from CCTV of them wreaking havoc. From tornadoes tearing down houses to flash floods smashing restaurant walls, here are 15 weather moments caught on security cameras. The basement wall gives away from the pressure of the flood. Back in August of 2021, Hurricane Ida transformed into the second most deadly Category 4 hurricane, which targeted most of northeastern United States. Even an entire month later on September 2nd, in Cranford, New Jersey, the remnants of the hurricane affected the area greatly, with severely heavy rain even causing flash floods. This footage shows exactly how destructive these floods were, when the basement wall, under a ton of pressure from the water outside, just gave in and toppled over, flooding the basement in a matter of seconds. Huge boulder barely misses the car during a landslide in Taiwan. Now every year, Taiwan goes through an intense typhoon season that lasts all the way from May to November. So when you're out and about, the last thing you'd expect is a surprise entry by a boulder, as is pretty obvious in the footage a car was recording while driving on the road during a downpour, and all of a sudden it catches mud and sediment falling off the cliffside, and the driver hits the brakes. Unfortunately, the car in front gets caught in the thick of it, and after the dirt clears away, you can see that a huge boulder barely missed the car by a couple of feet. Dashcam catches rare footage of a tornado in close proximity. Back in 2013, Bashkiria, a republic of Russia, was hit by a strong tornado that wreaked an unimaginable amount of damage in the area. Judging by this footage, the town had already been evacuated as a safety measure, but the jaw-dropping part of the footage is when the tornado slowly creeps on the houses in front of the car and bit by bit rips up small pieces from them. At one point, the strong winds threatened to take the car as their hostage, but it survived. Flash flood smashes through a restaurant's walls in Venice. Living in Venice might seem fun because of the pretty architecture and obviously having waterways instead of roads to get to and from places. But this city turns less than ideal in cases of extreme weather disturbances. On October 29, 2018, this camera recorded a restaurant's workers cleaning and wrapping up for the day. But suddenly, one of them noticed a flash flood coming, and all of them tried their best to keep the glass walls intact. Unfortunately, the immense water pressure shattered the glass, and water gushed into the restaurant. School security camera catches a tornado raging havoc through a town. Kansas is known for massive tornadoes that have torn through the state with more than 100 in the last 70 or so years. But the EF3 tornado that ransacked the town of Andover, Kansas on April 29, 2022, still ranks as one of the deadliest to ever hit the area. This footage from the security cameras of a school in the area shows just how much damage this tornado did to the surrounding houses, as well as the classrooms inside of the building itself. Luckily, no students or staff were there at the time. As unbelievable as these moments were so far, you don't want to miss when we're looking into when a family narrowly missed a disastrous mudslide, or when this daycare got flooded during a storm, all captured on CCTV. But that's for later in this video. Heavy rains end up flooding an entire school. Du Bois, Indiana is one of the states in the US that has extreme weather, from freezing winters to scorchingly hot summers. So it's not surprising that the area sometimes experiences extreme weather conditions, especially near Lake Michigan. On average, the precipitation period lasts a total of 3.5 months, with an annual rainfall of 47 inches. So it's not surprising to see that this school started flooding pretty fast when the downpour came. tree explodes into a million pieces when lightning strikes it. Lightning storms are pretty mesmerizing to look at. That is, until lightning strikes get too close for comfort. Imagine you're walking about the neighborhood, admiring the scenery, when out of nowhere, you see thousands of pieces of wood at your feet. And looking back, you realize a tree just exploded. Well, that's exactly what happened in August 2020 in Pocahontas, Iowa, when a lightning bolt decided to strike down a tree, and it ended up exploding into a million little splinters. It's a good thing no one was outside when this happened. Otherwise, that would have been a painful splinter to get out of your skin. Tornado destroys a bakery in Brazil. April 28, 2023 was just like any other day for this bakery owner in Mato Grosso do Sul, Brazil. They opened up shop and served their customers with various delicacies displayed out front. But as is obvious from this video, a tornado decided it wanted a sweet treat of its own and ended up ransacking the entire street, including the bakery, and whacked out all the baked goods on display. Some bystanders were even swept off their feet. Rare footage inside of an EF3 tornado. It's bad enough for one tornado to destroy everything in its wake, but imagine an entire outbreak ravaging your backyard. Well, that's exactly what happened in this small town of Gatineau, Quebec, Canada, where back in September 2018, an EF3 tornado tore through the city and wreaked an insane amount of havoc. The shaking camera shows just how strong the winds were, and it's estimated that the tornado injured around 25 people in its aftermath. Family narrowly escapes a disastrous mudslide that hits their house. Back in July of 2021, Turkey experienced some extreme weather conditions with excessive amounts of heavy rains in the country. This also caused numerous landslides throughout the region and ended up killing close to 6 people in total. This camera footage of this house from across the street shows just how horrible the conditions were. Luckily, the family managed to act in time and escaped their home before the mudslide could do any damage to them. A school bus gets swept away by heavy floods. Now, we all know that school bus drivers take their jobs very seriously, but this one particular driver took it a bit too far with his dedication. The dashcam footage pulled from this bus in 2019 shows that the driver was making his way to drop off the only child left on his bus during a pretty intense storm in Texas. Despite coming across a sign that warned people about the intense flooding up ahead, the driver ignored it. But boy, did it backfire when a few seconds later, the school bus was swept off its wheels by the floodwaters. A daycare gets flooded during a storm. In May 2021, a series of storms ripped through Wentzville, Missouri, and caused an insane amount of flooding. This daycare was just one of many places that got flooded during the storm. The water pressure made the door give way, and the room instantly filled up with water, with toys and tables floating around. Luckily, the one teacher who was present in the room left a mere minutes before the disaster struck. An EF tornado hits homes in Iowa. It's obvious by now that tornadoes, no matter how big or small, always leave an insane amount of destruction in their wake. And this time was no different. This camera footage shows just how quickly the tornado reached the neighborhood and began its assault on the nearby trees and houses, throwing up all sorts of debris and dirt in the air. Multivortex tornado tears through a town in Illinois. Getting stuck in the middle of a tornado is scary as is, but imagine being stuck in one that was as dark as the one that hit Fairdale, Illinois in April 2015. This camera footage shows the mind-blowing size of this multi-vortex tornado, and within a matter of minutes, it was ravaging through the houses on the street. everything went pitch black except for random lightning strikes. Tsunami wreaks havoc in Japan. Tsunamis are probably the rarest occurrences in nature, but cause insurmountable damage to any place they hit. The 2011 tsunami that hit the coast of Japan has been recorded as the most violent and deadly in history. This footage shows just how fast the seawater was pouring into the streets, taking with it anything that got in its way. And that wraps up this list of some of the most disastrous weather moments caught on camera. But have you ever seen a fire tornado causing a havoc through nature? If not, then you should watch our video about 1 in a trillion moments in nature. It's literally on your screen right now. Click it.